Welcome to the Going Somewhere podcast, a podcast for anyone who finds themselves in the ambiguous adventure of young adulthood. A season marked by uncertainty, change, love, heartbreak, and a whole lot of big decisions. Sit down with me for some real and raw conversations with some incredible people as we dig into what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus in this beautiful yet complicated season of life. If this podcast helps you in any way, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with friends. Be sure to join the conversation on Instagram by following goingsomewhere.podcast. We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Going Somewhere podcast. This one is going to be a little bit different. It's just me, Steven, and I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the podcast. I'm going to be giving kind of an update, talking about where we've been, like what's been going on with the podcast and where it's headed. Good news is we have more new episodes coming out in the next couple of months here, which I'm super excited about. This break that we are in the midst of is kind of a planned break as we kind of gear up for the next season of this podcast. So I wanted to take some time today to fill everybody in on what's going on and what this is going to look like. First of all, a little life update. As many of you may know, my wife and I welcomed our new son, Rowan David, to the world on May 6th. And so we've been very blessed by his presence, but also having a new baby also obviously changes things quite significantly. And to be honest, we've just been enjoying our time together as a family, adapting to this new season with 3 young kids. I would say this has been the smoothest transition, but at the same time, it's just been so much fun just to journey with my kids and my wife into this new season. Speaking of, my wife's amazing. She's the best mom in the world. And so I just appreciate her a ton. But as we look forward to the future with this podcast, what I wanted was to really be intentional about this next season of the podcast, to be really intentional moving out of kind of this first 15 episodes, which have been incredible as I've just been trying to figure out how to run a podcast and how to interview people. And I know for many people, we've heard awesome messages that things have been really life-giving, and that's the goal. And that's what we're going to continue to aim for as we move forward. Obviously, from the beginning of this podcast, I really set out to say, hey, I feel there's a lot of young adults that are in this ambiguous season of young adulthood who are just trying to figure it out. That if it's anything like my story, I don't know where it's all leading to in the next 5-10 years, but it's going somewhere. And I have this suspicion that everybody else, or there's a lot of other people that are feeling those same things, making these giant decisions, making big transitions, having kids, getting married, finding new jobs, changing jobs, all these different things that seem to hit us in this period of life where there's not that much for resources. And so this podcast is that. It's something that I've wanted. It's something that I've craved. It's something that I've desired. And I hope that it can be that for you. I know from the beginning, I was just kind of like, let's have conversations, let's talk. And along the way, I've learned a lot. One, I've learned what's been resonating with people. I think I knew going in that community was going to be a sticking point, especially coming out of COVID, where a lot of people were in isolation. A lot of people were facing different, factors in their life for the first time. But I don't know if I was prepared for the response of people that really are lacking community, that they leave college or they leave high school and they really struggle to find their people, to find the people that support them, love them, pour into them. And so I've realized that that's a big need. Another one is finances. There's so many people that are making these decisions, things are happening, and whether it's I have an abundance of money now for the first time or I'm trying to get by, we need some practical financial advice. So I know we're going to have more episodes like that. But the thing that's been really incredible for me is, one, not knowing what this was all going to be like, what the reception was going to be like, how this was going to resonate with people. But quickly, I realized that this was striking a chord with a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people that are just transitioning out of college that have reached out to me, people that I've gone to college with, or people that I never even lived in the same place with. but have heard about the podcast and they're 10 years out of college, really struggling, really trying to figure out how to move through this season with purpose, with intentionality. And this podcast has been something that's benefited them. So one, I appreciate everybody who's reached out. I appreciate everybody who's taken the time to either encourage me or to make a suggestion. Those things are all super important to me. I just wanted to read a couple messages that I've gotten from people. One is this: I've been listening to the pod every week. It's been really helpful, practical things, but also hearing different people's stories helps me put my life into perspective as well. One that said, "Hey, Stephen, I'm just listening to your podcast and had a message to tell you that I love it. Thank you for inspiring us." Another one, "I really like the podcast so far, and it's an awesome idea. Thanks for your heart for Jesus. We'll be praying that it reaches many others as it has already impacted me." Another one that said, "Hey, just really wanted to let you know I'm appreciating the podcast. Been listening to them on my walks with our dog during my workouts. Really brings me back to my truths I learned in college, and it's a good reminder to continue to live intentionally every day. I've especially loved the podcast with people living intentionally for Jesus in the workplace. Working in retail pharmacy, I have to continue to remind myself why God has put me there. Loving people well, show Jesus through my heart for them through their health journeys, and praying through the hard times. It really is amazing how people will share their lives with you and will open up, live intentionally for others, and be ready to listen and see how they're actually doing. Really hope that this ministry continues to take off and impact so many lives." These words mean a ton to me. Not only is it encouragement to me, but it's also just reinforcement that what we're doing, the work is worth it. And so I'm so excited to continue building the Going Somewhere podcast, to continue bringing in people that just have voices in their everyday life that can be trusted, but also have something to add, value to add. I was just with a friend today, and we were talking about guests. And one, I've been very blessed to be surrounded with some incredible people. But one thing that I've read time and time again is one of the ways to grow a podcast is to get the most famous, well-known people that will help you grow your podcast. And as much as that may happen down the road, and I want that to happen down the road as well, what I've really focused from the get-go is having people that I know really well that are living it out, that are in their everyday life, whether they are in obscurity or they're well-known in our community or communities around ours. Those are the people that I've wanted to have these conversations with, because that's where you're at. And so I know someday we'll have somebody that everybody's heard of and it's going to be awesome. But I think that just as valuable is the person that nobody's heard of, that's living out their faith through young adulthood with intentionality, that's learning from their mistakes, that's learning alongside of you and me. Those are the people that we can learn from as well. And so I'm going to continue to bring in people that I know from afar that can really speak into our lives. I know one of our upcoming episodes is with Drew Meyer, who's a pastor in Iowa. Another one is Josiah Keneally, who's leading young adults today. It's a young adult ministry. And there's these people that I know are going to add incredible value, but there's also going to be people that you've never heard of. One that I'm super excited about in the next few months here with a stay-at-home mom that literally lives her life in obscurity, but I think it's going to resonate with you as much as it's resonating with me and my family. So that's just a little bit about kind of like the guests that we have. And of course, there's so many ways that you can build a podcast, but what I've really focused on is I want to create a podcast that's worth listening to and then just see what happens. And so I just appreciate everybody who's been on the journey so far. And it's kind of crazy that we've already had 15 episodes. When we started this in February, it was just kind of like, get ahead, stay ahead, keep recording. The conversations itself have been so life-giving for me, just sitting down with these people, talking about life, talking about the things that they've learned, the mistakes that they've made, the struggles that they've had, and the cord that strings through it all of Jesus providing a way, Jesus just being the friend that he promised to be. And all of these things have made me grow in my faith, have made me just become more confident in this podcast, but also just grateful for Jesus in my own life. And so I know if you haven't yet listened to all the podcasts, you got to start from the top. If you picked up in like episode 10, we're going to have about 6 weeks off of the podcast. No new episodes for the next few weeks. This is the perfect time for you to get hooked. This is the perfect time for you to go back from the beginning and get all the ones that you've missed. I think everybody, no matter if you've heard of them or you haven't, they have something to say. They have something meaningful to say. We had Dave Liedall talking about leaving normal behind. We had Jake Triplett talking about living a 10 out of 10 life. Alyssa Tubner creating the community that you need. Jared Heineman meeting the needs around you. Michael Bloom, Officer Bloom, rewriting the narrative. Tom State managing your money mindset. Shout out to Happy with Money podcast, just launched. It's awesome. You got to listen to it. Brad Lewis, staying the course. Ryan Kockelman, keeping the moon in the window. My wife Taylor, how God uses changed plans to change hearts. Abby Schoeneck, dealing with the deferred dreams and desires. Dylan Warner, fighting for real and authentic community. We had our first Q&A with Dave Liedall and Alyssa Tubner, which was incredible and so much fun. Tatenda Jacora, embracing and valuing our differences. Ali Moody, finding joy in serving others. And Tony Meyer, prioritizing Jesus over everything. As I just even read through those, I just think of some of the things that I've been learning on this journey, some of the things that my friends have been teaching me as I've sat down with these conversations. We've had people that are pastors, comedians, people in higher education, entrepreneurs, financial planners, police officers, stay-at-home moms, nurses, engineers, and counselors. We've had so many different people from so many different backgrounds, and that's really what I want to hit on as we continue to move forward, is having more people from different backgrounds doing different careers and different walks of life that we can all learn from. The special thing is that I don't think I need to be a nurse to learn from a nurse. There's things that they're doing in their life that may be super specific to their job and to their tasks, but I can learn from it. Abby Schoeneck shared in her episode about going into work and praying every single day as she goes to work. God, I pray that I'm a light. I pray that I can impact at least one person. I pray that I'm available to the people around me, that viewing her life as a divine appointment. And I was like, what does that look like in my life? And that's the question I hope that you can ask after every episode is, what does this look like in my life? What does this look like for me to apply it to my life and live it out in my everyday life? We've covered conversations on living life with a purpose, discerning God's plans, community, serving, finances, transition, singleness, marriage, marketplace ministry, racial unity, and faith. We've covered a variety of topics. And again, I've entered into all of them, maybe not knowing what was going to come, what the focus of this conversation was going to be. Many times we sit down and I look across to them and say, one, what's on your heart? But two, let's just have a conversation about life and just see what comes out of it. And I'm always blown away at the things that are resonating in people's hearts that come out in these conversations. But all that to say, we're just getting started. I already have about 5 new episodes recorded. Today I just recorded with Josiah Keneally, who's an incredible leader. I'm super excited. We have one that I'm super excited about as well. It's with Cordell Finton, and we're going to be talking about how Christians should engage in politics. Some of the conversations that we're going to be having as we continue to move forward may be uncomfortable, but I believe that those are the conversations that we're all having in our minds, we're having with people behind closed doors, and we need some guidance. We need some people that we can come alongside and have these conversations with. So as we move in to this new season, I've just got a few things that I want to share with you, a few things that I want to put before you. First of all, we're going to be moving to Tuesdays. Yes, Tuesdays. We've been doing Fridays, but I've felt for a while that Tuesdays is my day because there's this quote by Bob Goff that always stands out. He's talking about how oftentimes we put a label to the good things we do, that the things that we do for God, we call ministry. And for those of you in full-time ministry, it's not the label that's bad, But this is the thing that he says. He says, don't call it ministry, just call it Tuesday. He says that the things of God, the good things that we do for God should just be an overflow of our relationships with him. So instead of it being like this defined thing, this is the ministry of my life. No, this is just Tuesday. This is what Tuesday looks like. And so for some reason, Tuesday, it's like the epitome of the mundane. It's not Monday, which is like back to work, but Tuesday's like, I'm still at work and I've got a long way to go till the weekend. But I think that's where God desires us to give us purpose, to give us meaning, and to really help us live out our lives for Jesus on Tuesdays. So Tuesday mornings is going to be the new Going Somewhere podcast day. So Tuesdays, whoop, whoop, whoop. Tuesday, August 2nd will be the first new episode. Moving forward, your feedback matters. I want this podcast to be something that resonates with you. I've always wanted that, and I continue to strive for that. I don't want to just do a podcast of me talking. As much as I'm getting value from these conversations, I want it to be something that you get value. And so if you are not watching or listening for some reason, I actually want to know that. If there's something that you've like watched one or two and it's kind of faded into the background, and I know there's so much good content, so many great podcasts. And so I'm not saying, hey, deny and don't do any of those things to do this. But if there's something that you think that it would add more value to your life, I want to hear those things. So a few questions that I want to ask you and for you to ponder, to consider. You can DM me on Facebook or DM me on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast. You can go to the website and leave a comment, goingsomewherepod.com. Just get a hold of me. I want to hear your feedback. The first thing is this, is what have been your biggest takeaways? What have been your biggest takeaways? Maybe it's a certain episode or multiple things that you've taken away from this podcast so far. I want to hear that. What have been your favorite episodes? Has there been an episode that has really stood out to you and made a bigger impact on you? I would love to know what it was and why you think that was. What topics do you want to hear about in the future? Or another way, what questions do you have about young adulthood? Like, what are the things that are truly on your minds and on your hearts? Those are the things that I want to talk about. What length of episode do you prefer? Me personally, I love these conversations, and so it's been natural for me to let them go longer. But I know, even when I'm listening back, that oftentimes I'm like, I wish this was a little shorter. Not because the content isn't good, but because it doesn't fit into my like rhythm of life as good. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. I am anywhere between like 30 minutes to an hour, and that's where a lot of them have been. But what would resonate with you the best? Who do you want me to interview on the podcast? Is there anybody that comes to mind? Are there any people in your life or that you've seen from afar that you would love to hear on the Going Somewhere podcast? I would love to know that as well. Share those names and maybe even share like why that person stands out to you. And again, you can do that either on Instagram in the DMs, or you can do that on the website. I would love to hear those things and any other feedback that you have. Literally anything. I want to hear it. Also, the last thing that I want to share with you today is I have a call to action for you. This is specifically for you if you've been impacted by this podcast, if this podcast has been beneficial to you, if you've seen it as something that's added value to your life. This is for you. I need your help to spread the word for this podcast. I unashamedly want this to touch more people's lives. I want these conversations to be heard by more people. And the best way to do that is for those that are listening to really jump on board and help create that energy as best that they can. So I know everybody's social media usage is different, and I'm not expecting you to post every episode or do something that's totally out of your norm. But what's your norm when it comes to telling people about things that you enjoy, about sharing content on social media? I want this to be something that fits into your already life. I'm not asking you to do anything that you wouldn't normally do. So hear me out. But there's a few things that I'm going to challenge you with and encourage you with. And I would love for you to do it if you're along for this journey. One is to subscribe wherever you watch or listen so that you can stay up to date, that you don't have to catch like a Facebook post or an Instagram post to realize that there's a new episode. So subscribe, stay up to date. share it. If something resonates with you, a clip or an episode, share it. I've loved creating the small, short reels or clips on Instagram. It's been crazy how far spread they've gone. And so if something resonates with you and this is something that you're comfortable with, just share it on Instagram or share it on Facebook or share it on Twitter or text it to a friend that you think would enjoy it. That helps a ton. The next is to comment. On YouTube, especially if you watch this, leave some comments. My desire is that this is a conversation and not just a monologue, that this isn't just something that I'm having this conversation with my friend and there's a bunch of people like a fly on the wall listening. Like, I want you to participate. And one of the ways that you can do that is if you're listening and something resonates with you, let us know what resonates with you. If there's a question that pops in your mind, just leave that in the comments. That really helps me a lot know kind of what's striking a chord and what's really impacting you, but it also helps other people engage in the podcast as well. Next is to rate and review it. I'm new to the podcast world. And whenever I talk to somebody that's doing a podcast and that's in this space, they're like, you need people to rate and review the podcast. This is the fastest way for it to be seen by other people. I think we all understand the world of social media and the world of technology. The more things, there's algorithms that depict what's seen and what's heard. And so the more ratings that this podcast has, obviously positive ratings, hopefully, that helps, but also those reviews actually saying why this podcast has impacted you. So what I'm challenging you with is to do one of these things or to do all of these things if this podcast resonates with you. If this podcast has been blah to you and you've hated it, don't worry about it. I'm not hurt. I'm not offended. But if it's been something that's added value to your life, I would love, love, love for you to do it. And the best thing is that leaving a rating and a review takes like a minute. So I would love for you to do it even after finishing this episode right now. Do that. And then when we come back in August, we can come back strong and more people will be along for the ride. And as always, we're over on Instagram, goingsomewhere.podcast. You can follow us. A lot of the conversation is already happening there. And I'm going to be putting out stories over the next few weeks here with different questions that will help me get feedback for the podcast. So stay tuned on that. If you don't already follow that. That's my unashamed plug to those of you who are watching and listening today. I know that's obviously uncomfortable for me, but I believe in this and I care about this. I really care about young adults. I care about the people that are in the same, season that I'm in, and those that are coming out of college that really oftentimes flounder in that post-college season of life. To me, what matters the most is that people live their life to the fullest in every season, that they see the opportunity and the purpose in every season, that there's no wasted seasons, that there's no there's waiting seasons, but waiting seasons are never wasted seasons. And so whatever that means to you, that's why I care. That's why I care about this so much. And that's why I'm willing to invite you and ask you to do those things. It's not me, social media for me is a place that I can connect with family. And now that I'm running a podcast, I realize I need to spread the word. I don't want to be the only one doing it. So please help me out. But I love you and appreciate everybody who has been along for this journey, who's been along for this ride. I look forward to new episodes coming out Tuesday, August 2nd. Mark your calendars, subscribe, get ready. This thing is going to continue to be awesome. We love you, and we'll see you again really soon.